Hello, hello, hello. Good afternoon from my end of the world in the USA. Good evening or it's night time. Um, in England, where my co-host, Mr. Mengot, is coming from. And uh, we may have Mr. Jamboria for join we from Norway. So we also it's night time there also. So, good evening to everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, depending on where you are in the world. And today is Sunday, October 6, 2024. As usual, we're coming to you now from different locations, but as one broadcasting, as a unit of broadcasters or presenters from different part of the world and continents. Now, last week, I think we touched on something that a lot of ordinary people were very much interested in, particularly the building code or structural code or construction code for Sierra Leone in general, but Freetown in particular. And we touch on some the more too frequent collapses of buildings and some of the causes for that. So we're lucky for Mr. Mengot, who is not only an engineer, but he's a very well-informed engineer, and is a man of many hats. So it could shed some light on it for we. So we send a flyer out. Some of you who may have seen that flyer there. The flyer indicates, say, we will talk to una since 1924. We they established Ordinance na Freetown. But before that, Freetown became a municipality in 1893, and we'll go with first mayor in 1895. So what we will talk about today, we're not going to go all the way back to 1924. What we will do, we will go back to, we'll just start from 1960, where we will get some most effective ordinances that were passed with respect to construction in the Western area, or Freetown in particular. Let me touch on the various numbers who I can always recite for the convenience of we listeners them. So in case they are the right location where you go reach for your note and everything, this is with come to now from the Viewers Network and television network. So I like for Mekuna just remember, if you are in North America, we comprise, for purposes of this broadcasting, now it comprises of the United States, Canada, and Mexico. If you are in one of these countries, we have a toll-free number that you can call from. With that number is 1-866-944-7722. 1-866-944-7722. If you are in the United Kingdom and you want to call in to make a suggestion, contribution, or express an opinion, and you don't want it to be at your expense, and the reason why we caution people for call at your expense is that you may not know which position you fall into on the line of callers. So if you are, say, number 5 in the queue, and for example, we allot 3 minutes to every caller. If you're number 5 in the queue, then you may have to wait almost 15 minutes before we get to you. So we try to let people understand. Then if you get for pay for that 15 minutes there is a good chance that you could just hang up and maybe not call back. So we strongly encourage people for call on the free lines then. So if you're calling from the United Kingdom, you can call from +44 2080891455. +44 2080891455. Likewise, if you call from Australia, there is also a free line on which you can call. Then a plus 61 2909 84337. Plus 61 2909 84337. And of course, if you call from other parts of the world, anywhere, Sierra Leone included, we get a WhatsApp line where you can call from, and then for free, of course. That would be 1-343-997-5828. 1-343-997-5828. So also, if you are in the western area, particularly in Freetown, the eastern part of Freetown, we'll get VOS Radio Freetown, which is 91.9 FM. You can try for tune your radio if you are not before a computer or you not get a telephone. An Android phone or the other kind of phone. If you not get any modern phone, so you can just tune your radio. Then also, when I say the other kind of phone, I meant iPhone. So also, we get for be able to do that, we encourage you for going at the Play Store for Apple or Google for download the VOS television app. Go to the Play Store of Google Play Store or Apple App Store. Google Play Store or Apple App Store. And then download the app, and then you will be able to access it very easily. So the VOS network also get different platforms them where I can catch we on. That, for example, we're there on YouTube. If you go on VOS network, you will get we on Facebook. When a Voice of Shyllon TV, Voice of Shyllon Radio, VOS-SL, VOS-UK, VOS-Australia. This is on Facebook. So you are able to access with it. You can also go on X, formerly Twitter, by dialing VOS television, and you will get we on X. You will also get we on VOS website, vostelevision.com, vostelevision.com. Then VOS radio website, what would be vosradio.com, vosradio.com. Okay, so last but not least, there is another site called Twitch, or another medium called Twitch, Twitch. Now, it could be VOS television, then you'll be able to reach it. So I hope one way or the other, we'll get from exert too much effort for be able to reach we and for make whatever contribution you might have, or but just listening. You're not going to necessarily get for call in. Okay. So last week, as I said, we did touch on, so this is not just part 2 of what we will talk about last week, because again, for some of we listeners them, we want make una take off on a political party hat and replace them with a national interest hat. Hat where you wear. I'll tell you the hat now your chest. HAT. Take that hat there off and put the national interest hat on. Then start to understand things in terms of what is good for the country. Because consistently, successively, government after government, barely do anything way good for the country. Everything has political overtone, and everything now what is in the best interest or the better interest or what is in the immediate interest of the party in power. This has been it's been that way for the past 20 or more years. So, because I don't want people to begin to think about blame. But if we not start calling anything here, we will never ever see improvements in that country there, because there is no it doesn't appear as if there is seriousness being attached to running government in Sierra Leone since independence. It's all like a game. And as we keep reminding people, it's not by chance. At one time when we were number one, now we're not only a day behind. Even Gambia, we are way last. If this was not a TV show, anybody will sabi how we can emphasize what you did last, then we say you know last such and such and such. So we not only did last, we did way behind. So we for take pride in ourselves and try for do the right thing for our country. So some of the things I want to touch on now for just give information to everybody, including the government itself. We're not thinking that they go out of their way, forget qualified people and for seek advice from. Because everything is so highly tainted with politics that they don't care about consequences, or they don't get that foreseeability, we could say in law, foresight, vision, that ability to foresee a likely disaster, even though when there are compelling evidence presently before we. So I just to bring all that in there because I just want to try for begin to see things, and in making some of them suggestions there, we might make comments that might appear as a criticism of a government or of a ministry. But if you have any interest in the development of Australian and the well-being of Australian, you shouldn't take personal offense to it. So with that said, today I'm presenting the show with Mr. Mengot, and who has a lot to share with we. So I'm turning over to him, making introduce himself, and then we'll go right ahead with the some of the things we want to talk about. Mr. Mengot, back to you, sir.
Well, Fambulem, in a good evening from we were in England, and the one that we did Salon, good afternoon. Now we did the US of A. We call them say now we did across the pond from we. Me and Victor Mengot are the cantor from the UK in Surrey, southeast of England. Yes, I know say let's start first with the flyer, because the flyer can say all things. Because some of we don't see the flyer, we put say 124 years, probably of planning of Freetown and everything. I think what you do emphasize that it's not an exact number of years, but we want to go into an historical perspective, right? Okay, today Sunday, I know some of we people are not go church. Even with the Bible, you get different books of the Bible. The first book of the Bible, they call it Genesis. What in Genesis mean? It means in the beginning. So now make so put down there for let in a know what happen in the beginning. Right? The years might not be exact, but we want to look at how Freetown in construction laws then. Over the years, we've been get good laws then. And some of them still there. But with time, we not enforce them because we problem na enforcement. So let's start waiting this over 100 years, baby, come. Today, as them put in the flyer, say engineer, let me make a disclaimer. I'm not a building engineer. I'm not a civil engineer. I'm a transport and highway engineer. But coupled with that, I am also a qualified urban planner. We practice my profession in the UK. And waiting at urban planning, now how you they arrange the space within a defined area for make sure say you able know the different economic activity and outside the transportation and traffic and how they connect them building and they. So I they talk from that perspective there. So Sierra Leone became or we could say Freetown. Let's go back. Shyllon became a crown colony in 1808, long years ago, right? But when we talk about Freetown, this is not Freetown they talk. The municipality of Freetown was established in 1893. Then immediately 2 years after, we get the first mayor of Freetown when Sir Samuel Lewis. So 1895. So if you take out from 1895 to now that makes us put that sensational headline there. Because what you do, Freetown, now one of the first city then, now West Africa, or even Africa, south of the Sahara. Why I say south of the Sahara, we were there below side the Arab country then they, yeah, because then there be no civilization long. We actually get a municipal administration. So what happen when you get your municipal administration, and then the planning kind side, you get for plan your city, for look at settlement patterns and how they put on buildings and all that thing and they. So that's the background. So if you remember, from 1895, we'll get to first mayor. So at that time, Lord talked to we fumble them, what would they call Freetown that 10 day, not to Freetown now. So when the first freed slave then come, they settle around that area also get cotton tree. And up also get government also in a state house now. That area they that also government also then and now they call Fort Taunton. So around that area then the settlement pattern starts. Where they come, say go down to Usa, you get St. George's Cathedral now. Say go Usa the mayor in office day. So now that part, so then they begin expand. So now make so then divide Freetown into wards. And then wards, and then what you they call ward? Now a small neighborhood area, Usa people in the top. So we start with 3 parts. We get Central Ward, right? We get Eastern Ward, we get Western Ward. Central Ward, as you know, for them people around them place that we go talk, then Circular Road. In fact, then Circular Road, Regent Road, all the area then have been central. Take Shaka Steven Street. Then you get Western. Western, I would say the landmark will start from like Usai Campbell Street begin. Usai will get Podogi Town Church. Because what you need to talk, so the immigrants they will come out from them Podogi colony, Fernando Po, now they didn't go tap. Now make sure we get Podogi Town. And how they mean the settlement, then get church there. Even if you look part of Central Ward, the first church where they the area, now make sure we get Maroon Town. And Maroon Town are the immigrants then from Jamaica. The Maroons that them in there. So now so Freetown start for develop. So you remember say when we get a municipality, then have been the responsibility of the municipality or the mayor for actually plan the city in terms of who side people and they live, and even then people and then come back with the ideas of the host them. Now make sure we get them Bodos them. Because them Bodos they get part of Spanish architecture and part of the Caribbeans. For with the America, I know say or tell us if I go New Orleans, and I go see some of them kind of structure in there. So when you get in structure, you get forget control. That is how we started. So Freetown now, we been get what we call, because Freetown have been colony. So we get that central part, the one I don't call the ward, the east, central, and west. Then we get the place that now we now the rural areas then, what they call now western rural. So we get 3 districts. So some of the people that settle now that York district, when you get Sussex, you get Kent, and York now been the headquarters, right? Then have been get their own, because then have been get their own. So now been space where people like expand, go tap under the Edmund. Then you get the mountain districts. We then in Leicester, Gloucester, Charlotte, Bathurst. Then you get Waterloo district, when that Waterloo Hastings. So now so Freetown been there. And when you check the whole of the western region, the boundary going to the rest of Songo, because part of Songo na the Freetown end. The other part na Koya district, when a part of Putloko. So in fact, Songo, where they plan city, they plan with the transport. Now make so binga railway. Even the railway said the way we plan them, because Mr. Shyllon been talking about that the last time. We binga railway where they carry the with man and go outside and tap. Na hill station, and they then tap. Then even the railway, Songo na be major junction because then the dividing line because the colony and the protectorate. And I tell you the interesting thing. So the colony, when a Freetown, get a mayor, a municipality, and planning rules. The rest, when the protectorate, the rest of Sierra Leone, sorry, when the protectorate, they were ruled through the House of Chiefs. And one historical thing they talk, in running that part day, now that makes so for lady with man them able manage the rest of the country. Now that telling them be introduced that hot tax where they say each host for pay 5 shillings for administration. We been bring the Bible revolt, but that is a talk for another day. So that was how Freetown, or we will say Sierra Leone, was administered under colonial system, and how the planning system, the building control, because we call it with profession building control. Who say they put building? Who say that the zone the way they allow houses? How they plan you road them? How they plan you transportation? So all that they come under land use. I hope same introduction, very appropriate. And I will go back to my colleague, let take me through this journey. Where, as he did not tell you, the main first act where we ever look, the ordinance, na 1960, 1 year before independence, when the Freetown improvement plan. So one taking her through that for show you waiting have been the planning system. I begin waiting have been goal for building and waiting you for do and waiting you not for do and the penalties if you not do the right thing. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mengot. In fact, in your narrative, you mentioned the clarification where you make with respect to your profession is very helpful in the sense that people need to understand, as you say, you being an engineer does not make you a general engineer. Because engineering, like many other professions, there are specialization areas, electrical, mechanical, and all kinds, of engineering. The same applies to we own profession, that of the law. What has happened again back home, we don't commingle. Well, first of all, I still think, say, in Sierra Leone, we get a misconception of what a lawyer ought to be. And the profession itself is to be blamed as it is practiced in Sierra Leone, because we like to put up this aura of significance to the point of, I mentioned that once before, which I think is a ridiculous inheritance from the British system. There is no reason why lawyers should be referring to themselves as learned counsel. You get to be highly learned to be an engineer. You get to be highly learned to be a doctor. You get to be highly learned to be a professor. So we're not going to put monopoly on that phrase there. But for some reason, we don't hijack we don't monopolize or hijack that phrase there. My learned friend, learned counsel. But I will even argue that some counsel are not even that learned because if we are as learned as we claim we are, how come we're doing such poor job in terms of regulating we own country and coming up with good legislations them for put we on the path of progress? So I take exception, but that's my view. Just because I'm a member of the profession, I think we for earn the reputation, we for earn the accolade, we for preserve. Like I said once before, when they say the noble profession. Yeah, I can give you 1,000 reasons why it used to be called and should be called a noble profession. But I guarantee you, the vast majority of our lawyers then back home have no clue of why it is called a noble profession. Where the profession, they just strip the profession of all the nobility of the profession. So it is important that as we talk to UNA, that's why I always emphasize when I talk about constitution, I keep questioning those who were meddling or have been meddling with the constitution, whose specialization they have in writing and drafting and interpreting constitution. I would submit to the vast majority and to my colleagues them in Sierra Leone, the one that would they profess for being constitutional lawyer are not constitutional lawyer. I may not have the requisite qualification to even draft an ordinance, let alone to be a constitutional lawyer. Because at the end of the day, now we get exposed just in recent years, in the past 15 years or less, to the word constitution in relation to the law. That's why we're still having difficulty in terms of we still don't know whether we're a constitutional democracy or we're a parliamentary democracy. We still don't know back home which is supreme, parliament or the constitution. Of course, I will argue, and I think rightly so, that the constitution is the supreme law of the land. Parliament is not supreme. Any law will parliament pass for be consistent with the prescription of the constitution, but I don't think we still get it, you know. And so I like to make them qualifications indeed. So also let me just immediately tell we listeners them that the lines are open. So please feel free to call in anytime. And again, I always tell people them because we're always asking government officials, if you are listening, this and broadcasting is just for we own good generally. So we not claim to have a monopoly on knowledge, me and Mr. Mengot. So if you disagree with anything we will say, try to educate we and the audience by telling us where we're wrong and how you are right. That would be very, very helpful to we all, because we say would present the show. We want to learn something we will not know. And in my own line of work, we get a phrase, a popular phrase, reasonable men can differ. So me and you can be reasonable and still see things differently. So to me, it's a common thing to be on the opposite end of some idea or views. But going back to what we want to talk about today, Mr. Mengot could try to explain to we the first ordinance that we then pass with respect to implementation or the building of structures or construction. According to what Mr. Mengot tells me, I think the first law come into the first ordinance. But let us also understand, ordinance, the law, is just simply normally laws passed by city or by the city or law governing regulation by the city are usually referred to as ordinances. So, for instance, you know, go refer to an act of parliament or any law, national law, as an ordinance. But cities usually, then law collectively, are referred to as ordinances. So the first city ordinance was in 1960, shortly before our independence. And then from there, Mr. Mengot will give you a historical perspective, how we get to where we are. So back to you, sir.
Yes, thank you very much. And as I say, anything na the genesis. So the first law that we'll get for deal with building, I think say we for the benefit of we viewers them where they look, we control our input up there, you see the law, because we will they talk now, we get for make reference to historical documents. The title of that document day, now Freetown Improvement. Then passed that law day is under the laws of Sierra Leone on the 1st of January 1960. Freetown Improvement. And then it was, by then, members say we been get the Governor General, na him been there in charge, where they represent the Queen, the governor. So, laws are passed on behalf of the crown. So just like now, where you get an ordinance, who don't independent, who don't republic, for let any law apply in our country, it get for go through parliament, then it go for what we call presidential assent. Like now we get President Bio, now go put in signature on that law, then it becomes a law. Now the same thing, colonial days, we been get parliaments before that. Now that time we been get legislative council, when I for make law, we get executive council. When I then they lead to a House of Parliament. So this law been going away House of Parliament before we get independence 1960. And it enacted, what you mean enacted, is signed for say this na law, this ordinance, by the Governor General on behalf of the Queen. So now that law they will begin, and that law they good. And I tell you why I was taking her through this law, and what Mr. Shyllon been say. This law based on the British planning system. In England, we call it land use planning. What do you mean by land use planning? It's like, say, where you get your small area, the different activities that we get for in that area, and then they bring what we call zoning. I've been talking about that last week. You know, under the British system, and similarly, we start in a salon, with over the years, you get areas that will designate for certain activity. Now make so if you look at, let you take me area like what Komomina Fullerton boy. Not just take that area, they will get Mountain Cotwin at the main thoroughfare. So within that area, that Fullerton, in a small area, we get the Fullerton Mosque. When I land use, because I for satisfy people their religious belief. We get Amaraya School. When I for schools, right? We get markets there around the area, because if we don't get market directly in Fullerton, because we get markets na Regent Road market. So I read the plan the activities and they nine with the talk about urban planning. And with the plan in relation to what's in the day between them activities then they now housing. So you get forget the housing then within the and then 10 and the majority of the hosts that we get will be either get bamboo hosts when attached roofed. When I then structure the way the freed slaves then count, we still get them bodies then in a tongue. We get some people in the monuments and the relics commission see them for preserve some of them bodies then they. Why are they taking her to this? Then we get one host they win a cementos, win a concrete host. Now we call na criotonos. What's in them calling tonos na stone houses? Because then telling a stone we been take for build host them. Not to like now we don't get between cement blocks and everything. So stone have been the man foundation. I make so get some of them structured in there with a 30 day. And I can tell you, one of the oldest building now West Africa, now St. Charles Church, now Regent, up the hill, when a stone building. And if you look at some of those church themselves will get, and even the mosque then, now stone then take for building. You know. So we've been getting regulation them. So now that makes so their regulation here come in 1960. And I will go through the important thing that we still apply. But in 1960, this act here, it has been amended over time. Because what you do, it moved over to, I think in 1971, we got what we call the Town and Country Planning Act. Why don't they come in? Because after independence, we get ministries them. We been get the ministry they all been combined. Not to like now we get boku ministry, everything. We been get Ministry of Lands, Mines, and Labor. Because why they may put an way there? Because land na important component of production. And the labor now they use work na the land. Mines, because mining will be one of our main economic activity. So now make sure they combine them three then they. But the one they can talk now, the ministry of Benga will call the Ministry of Housing and Country Planning. So remember, say so housing is the center of the development. Then country planning. And when they say country planning, I the planner, so it involves both urban planning and what we call regional planning and how you plan the law. So let me go through some of the law gets, and they're still applicable, although over time some don't change. Number one, you get what you call new building. New building, now when you get a gun, right, you don't get paper say, now you get a land. And then tenant day, let's look at the administration, would have been did it. Under the Ministry of Lands, you been get also the Ministry of Housing and Country Planning, but we get a department we call Department of Public Works Department, what we know as PWD. Yeah. PWD been there by Pademba Road next to, now there the headquarters been there, next to the prison.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that PWD, the Public Works Department, now be responsible for everything to do with construction, be it road construction or housing construction. So this act, the principal person when I mean get the mandate for regulate buildings na Shyllon or Freetown in particular, now the Director of Public Works when a PWD. Because just like now we get ministries, department, and agency, PWD have been specialized departments. We then get the roads department, then get a building department, then get the architectural department. So the director, the big alejo day, nine get the say where them in give this responsibility for make sure say them put with building construction laws them. So the first law now where they call new building, where they build new building, where you don't get you gone, before you put any structure, you get to apply to the Director of Public Works. Make an application, submit a building plan. Now make sure them get the architectural department there. So now then they look at your building plan there and look the land we get for sure say the land where they apply for build is appropriate for that kind of building then they. So that is how the origin of this building permits and planning permits can atone. So for a new building, you therefore get planning permission from the Director of Public Works. Then you get old building as well. For old building, now like where you want to modify your building. If we look and say now, remember say some of them we host them have been bulldoze them. But later on, then change some of the structure when a part board, part cement. So if you convert that host day, yeah, when an old building, you also need planning permission. Now make sure if you look at how they design them bulldoze, then there's some bulldoze. The bottom structure, now concrete. Then the top structure, now wood. Why did they do that? So because the bottom structure now ain't going to be solid for all the weight of the occupancy. Then at the now residential also that structure they the way we build the pillar them for withstand the ocean. Right? So again, if you alter any building for old building, you get planning permission from the director. So let's stop here. Let's see if my co-host will ask any question for that clarify for family.
Yes, sir. One or two things just for trying to get some clarity with respect to some phrases. Where you say the bottom structure, I'm just going back to my own recollection as a kid growing up. With that some of them was then the bottom structure they were called undercellar, not just that undercellar, because I was afraid where people used to live now undercellar.
Well, undercellar now what you call basement. Because on the cellar, they under the
I'm talking about for Australians. For Australians today back
yeah.
home. I'm just talking. It's basement in Ireland, a basement in England, but we don't get basement back home. But I know, say in Freetown, and particularly up country, you not get basement as such. But Freetown, they get a lot of houses. Them, I know a lot of people along the Pademba Road area and many other area be live now on the cellar. These were decent, livable places. So I'm just trying to see if what you call the foundation being changed, whether or not the same thing as the undercellar or the bottom structure, what you refer to as the bottom structure. I don't know. So am I right, or is there another definition for undercellar back home?
Okay. You can get a bottom structure, we also get an undercellar. Right? The bottom, let's say you get a 2-floor building. Let's make it easy for people in the ground floor. The part of the house within at the ground floor. Right? If not 2-story building, the ground floor and then at the bottom structure. Then under that bottom structure, you can get undercellar. And if you look at, there was particular reason why they made the undercellar. Because now they the strength of the building, and then you get the pillar, then you get forget air through under that, because undercellar, then you get forget air through the building. Because the building itself now like mortal mind, they breathe. So the design of the building also very important for preservation and also for make sure say it fit for human habitation.
And also, with respect to the Ministry of Housing and Country Planning, then, will it also be that in addition to the regulation of institution of structures such as buildings, part of it also had to do with beautification of how things could look, because people will not be they only regulate just the strength of the building, they also were regulating the appearance. Am I right, or am I wrong on that?
Yes. Okay, let's get into that. The design of the building also was regulated. Even, you remember, most of them we host their own gets. Then get what you call veranda.
Correct.
You understand? Veranda na they then gentleman you can sit down and do what they get breeze. So when you design the host, if you build the veranda na that host day, in order for protrude, what I mean protrude, in order for hang over the street. Because you get laws them where you distance from your host, the frontage of your host, and the main thoroughfare. You understand? Now that makes so that main thoroughfare they went at the road, now then called the right of way. Enough for be obstructed. You get for design the building. Then also it also comes to what you call the visual aspect of the building, the site. You understand? And I'll tell you another reason why they made a building like that, and what you don't change now. If you remember, even the height and dimension of the building, then at the design part, the director of public works get for approval from your plan. Why? I give you a reason now. One particular place where I remember where we fumble host na Frobero na Kisi Road, like where they go Eastern Street area. Now them bodos them on a 1-story building, right? So at that time, the host them we been there, where them in the plan, they all get of similar height. But they will not control that building there. The man within that you right can build a 7-story. So you get 7-story both sides, which means you they encroach on that house we get middle. You they deprive that person there of a natural light. So even the height of building was also regulated. Now that makes sure you look first in a salon of Freetown in particular, you hardly see hosts there when are more than 3-story. because all that was regulated. And there was a reason for that. Because the more floors you get on the hose, the stronger you get for get the structure for withstanding different floors than they. And then they also they determine the material the way they use. But I not encroach on my fellow engineers, their own profession. The one and then are the structural engineers them. Because you get engineers who specialize in structure. Structural engineers, they mostly they study material engineering. Materials engineering, the kind of material we they use for build, you column them, the iron rods them, all the type of iron rods, you mixture of your cement, then at the structural engineer they do. So all that day was also considered. Right. Now, also the director of public works being therefore determine to what use you they put that building there to. In England, we call a use classes order. Right? We label them by A, B, C, D. So you get residential building, right? You get recreational building. You get building for places of worship. You get commercial building, when a shop, and we are housing and all that. So each one get particular use. You get to get special permission for them building and they. And not only that, then get area the way they not allow them. But the key issue is if you want to change the building from one use to another, say if you get church, for instance, because we don't see it now, it happen in England. Because, the one that we go teach with religion, most of them, they go church, we get beaucoup redundant church in England. So if that building there, when you apply, you build as a church, if you want to change them to a commercial use, you can forget planning permission. And there is sense why you forget planning permission. Now that they be also applying as a salon, because now the design of the building. Because if you change the use, then any other profession can say as a traffic and highway engineer. Because when you change the use of the building, it attracts different people. So if in a shop you go put there, it must be say people and get for come where they drive Canada building there. So if you change of use, for let them allow you, then get for make sure say you get parking space there around the vicinity. Now that makes so we get problem at salon because if they build house now, mostly the house they will get, they don't get parking space and offices there. So that alone they cause congestion. So that change of use from one use of the building to the other, also you get forget planning permission. And we get what we call mixed use building then. Where now this be happen to this building in Wellington, according to a report we will go into. Mixed use building, now where they mix residential. You use one building for you use them for residential use, you use them for commercial use, then they use them for storage. That would not be allowed. So let's stop there and see if you will ask any more questions before we continue.
Yes, sir. In terms of the construction, the process itself, you of course you mentioned permit, but is it also, or am I correct, that throughout the construction of that building there will be regular, not even occasional, but regular, not necessarily daily, visitation by a supervisor from the Ministry of Lands, Mines, or Housing and Country Planning for see if you comply with the regulation and the purpose for which you say you build the building. So they don't have to give you the permit, they don't give you permission, then they not check again until you finish. There are occasional visitation by the people, not so?
According to that law, when you don't make your application, you don't go through the Director of Public Works. Remember, say that 10 day, you get Freetown municipality under the FCC. Because the public Works Department now a government specialized technical department when a central government. Then Freetown municipality, then a local government. But when then they check you planning permission and everything, then get for refer to the municipality. What you do because the municipality get bylaws then, where you get for meet the condemned bylaws then. So with time over years, the way they work now make so even some of the inspection they were done by city councils officials then. Councils have been getting their own planning department for inspect. Now, according to that law, when they don't give planning permission, when you start for build, you get for inform the director of public works within 7 days of your starting the building, right? So the first 7 days you don't inform and say, well, you don't give me planning permission, or I don't begin build. Now that's when the inspector they go now, he go inspect the building and see say and remind you of waiting and give permission for the structure of the building, the size and dimension and everything. And you know, say mostly some of them also they even when they give permission those days, you get for compound. You know, there is a building at the building. Now with the bill also they don't get compound. When a problem. So all the inspector do, then you get a regular inspector. And why city council be involved? If you remember, city council been getting a responsibility for things to do with sanitation, waste disposal. Now make sure we get dirty box then, right? Sanitation and waste disposal and all that. And city council been get water works. So you access to the water grid and all that and they get for be taken into consideration. So it was a continuous process for the inspection of your building for make sure say your building conform with the plan we give and the permission we then give of how for erect the building in terms of dimension, footage. Another interesting thing again, same, even the feng shui they put in a building for be regulated in terms of the height and the material. And it was prohibited at the time for let build fence, you put barbed wire on top. So that was how detailed these things were. I hope I answer your question.
Yeah, I think you sure did, because just to try for let people and see how things have changed, and things change because we relax the regulations, because you talked earlier about enforcement, because a regulation is of no use if it is not being enforced. Down at the essence of regulation, if you see the need for pass the regulation when are just rules, people ain't for comply with. It's no different from traffic regulations. If you say you get for drive on the right hand side of the road, but then you allow people for be at liberty for drive on the left when they feel like it, just like I would do for housing, and then no enforcement even when people do that in terms of being cited by the police. In not too long future, you will get nothing but chaos or confusion. So this is where it's good for let we know how we arrive at where we are now in terms of the all then collapse here with the sea of structures them, that it just not happened by accident. It happened because also I think another thing we get for taking into account, Freetown itself is technically in a valley. You know, you get mountain, then you get the lower portion, and then you get the sea. So that's why Freetown per se was very, very much in need for highly, highly technical regulations, which used to be the case. It seems to me what has happened, politics, they'll destroy all of that. And now everybody's paying the price. And now everybody's talking about devastation, because again, I want to remind people them, and then of course, Mr. Mengot, you can correct me. Now we refer to them big gutters, or we call them bobo combo, you know. But now, of course, like country like here, they can refer to them as levees for take a large flow of water during the rainy season where they come for empty na the sea. So we'll not be able to get, despite the fact that the place was rainy, but they seem to have created sufficient or adequate amount of levees for handle all the water that will be come from the hill or from the mountains down into the rest of Freetown. So now we get flooding. But what I'm interested in now is trying to find out the Institute of Professional Engineers. They make recommendations, but I don't know, maybe I'm ahead of myself. I would like to know what are they recommending.
We'll go to that later. So let's continue. Let's done this part. And one of the powers were very important, where the Director of Public Works been get. He get what in and called prohibition order. You understand? If you don't apply for a planning permission, you build the building according to, you build according to the plan and design. If they go in, they can give you a prohibition order for alter that building there and conform to the standards. If you not alter that building there, they can take action, you go face penalty. Then also, when they give you planning permission, so you don't go do your paperwork, you get a legal obligation for inform the Director of Public Works. When they start the building, and make sure that they can 7 days after, then you go for inform them when you don't complete the building. Because they give them a start date and a completion date. So at the completion date, you go get inspector them back, we go inspect that building there for make sure say it conform to the planning permission in terms of design, dimension, use of materials, and structure. Before now, they go past that building, they say now, it fits for human habitation or it fits for the purpose of commercial. Because when they talk about commercial building, you got to think about things like waste disposal any time of activity where they go. And then the city council, now even get that responsibility there. Even when you don't tap now us, city council been get inspectors the way they can inspect your yard. If your yard not dirty, then they fine you. We been get some city council sanitation people them, we been they call them Combra, because they been get that Bowser, that small Bowser in them back, because we been they unbug them, say they na Combra and tot picking. Then they can fumigate your compound. And let's give people then the history of waiting and they can them under the sanitation bylaw of city council. Because apart from Boko people and now they talk about say Freetown was called the Athens of West Africa. And I will tell you now waiting have been why they call them the Athens of West Africa. One, because number one, now we got municipality, as I say, 1895. Number two, when you talk about voting, universal adult suffrage, because when you get we in a salon, na the colony, we give women the votes them before even England when our colonial master. So women then begin votes now, we can't before. Then the second reason we then call them the Athens of West Africa. Then of course we get old institutions like Frabe College, like old school. But then there's the other downside where people they know but where I can't tell people the way that law they based on. Freetown was also called the white man's grave. Why was it called the white man's grave? If you go na Kisi Road Bengon, I don't know if they tomb them did it. Then bury Boku white man they will be the die of malaria. And a malaria been the cause mosquito. So when they pass that city bylaw or ordinance, it means say that they're gonna host for go inspector for make sure say you not get place the way you get breeding ground for mosquito. So that makes so sanitation was very important. And then they relate to health bylaws. I hope say this not two way people then will take note of and know the history of that. So Freetown was also called the white man's grave because that time they when malaria bet you, when mosquito bet you, not so like they like today where they fly. We, the African, we used to them because we get natural herbs like broomstone, then bitter medicine from the queenie come out. So we get herbs for counter malaria. But the wet man not been get herbs. They don't mean to take with natural herbs. And for fly then come back, no problem. So they make sure say they make them compost for sanitation so that also they're not gonna be the breeding ground for malaria. Even you be also get for clean you front gutter and yours.
Yep.
Because then gutter and they when they settle, now also a breeding place for malaria. So then and for cope with ordinance bylaws then. So waiting that take pamphlet through this. So when they talk about land use planning, they talk about how they plan the land, the use of land, the kind of building where they put there, the connectivity between the land, and even after that, how they use the land, the activity where they do so. So it will cause health problem for other people and the community. So that is why we have all the laws here, then bylaws, and it means say for let a city thrive, you get for obey the local ordinance, when are the bylaws where the city council they pass. They also get for obey the central government their own laws. Then. So the two laws then get for work hand in hand together. And a danding of problem in this country now, we make Boku laws them, they able to see the connectivity. We know they able to explain to people then why they laws there and they say now in their own interest, why they for conform to them laws and why we for enforce them. I left down this. So if you want anything, then we can start now to part 2. We want to talk now specifically, but this building way collapse na Wellington and where the professional body, the master sabi people and the engineering profession, I will explain how then they come. We themselves don't put their own report where they hope say na government. And I'll make this clear, Mr. Shyllon, you make them fine. We get professional bodies there. And Mr. na professional. I mean, recently I get an experience where I contact a particular minister, name withheld, for telling about something way for improve na salon. I'm not going to even talk the subject matter. And I sent him, he said thank you to me. I go back to him. He replied to me, say, but I said that's the way he sent me. And not even, but can't talk, say, I support what you they say. I say, I write back, I say, Mr. Minister, I beg pardon, sir. If you not hear what I say, I go cease and desist. Solo left and so. So what do they do now? Now for educate with people them, and also for let government know say, they want the way they are. We know they care for oppose them. What we are doing is for the good of Sierra Leone. And that makes so this report with the Professional Engineers Regulatory Council, which I'm a member and a registered engineer, advise government and do an inspection of the. So if we don't done this one, how it been there 1960, and that law was amended in 1971. We'll get the Town and Country Planning Act, because that thing we don't get the Ministry of Housing and Country Planning is still there. There's been amendments over. Up recently, we'll even get the act reform, the National Land Commission. So over the years, but what I explained but what we been get 1960, then at the fundamental and the genesis, enough for change over the years. You can make the wording change, you can amend them, but the principle of safety, security, and also for make sure so we get a good environment and avoid disaster. So let's stop there. If you don't want get any question, Lord call with controller. Let's play the video now. Lord deal specifically with this thing now, Wellington.
Okay. Before you play that, Neka just piggyback on what you just said was few things what people need to know, because I'm willing to bet 90% of the people in within a Freetown are they talk about the immediate city. I know they even talk about them Waterloo. I know they talk about Allentown. I know they talk about even Wellington, and I talk about Kisi, but just the immediate area within the confines of Congo Cross, all the way on the eastern part of Freetown to Kleintown. But some of the incident anyway, I just want to remind people and say, indeed, what you just said, there used to be city council workers we get repellents them, liquid repellents them, when they carry on them back, wade and spray gutters and people in yard and people them surrounding around your fence for eliminate and also for kill mosquitoes, because mosquitoes we know say they cause serious malaria illness. So all now they vanish. That not being enforced. You also talk about gutters. Gutters were definitely not allowed to clog. The time where we grow up, na Freetown, in the early years, gutters where you see gutters clogged at all. The water them they flow freely. All
Sorry to
through
interrupt you, sir. We'll get one caller on the line. We'll get one caller on the line. I'll take from the audience. Okay, sir.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where you call from?
Good evening. This is Mustafa again from Leicester. Good evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mustafa. Thanks for calling.
I don't listen carefully where Mr. Mengot explain. I want to tell him back, thank you, double, thank you for giving this kind of information. Well, I just want to ask first of all, this information, is it on books for read or you just have no show?
Both. I think
both. In fact, if you want the Acts Day, we publish them. We get online. I can send you the Act. So wait till they talk now evidence. The 1960 Act, all thing did it.
Okay. No, number two. Also,
if we,
you don't talk.
Let's put the front page. Let's see.
Yeah, you don't mention pan body. You say pan body come on now. How
okay,
you don't get
pan
them
body. Yeah, well, pan body. Okay, the origin of pan body.
Can I interrupt you? The Lily way I know.
Yeah.
When I was growing up in Campbell Street, I remember so distinctly. I was below the age of 8. 25 Campbell Street, because pan body become a style when the fullers then begin come in. I don't mean any disrespect, but because they're mostly traders, petty traders, in addition to other things they were doing. So they nobody popularly rents, but then they go and begin for build the attachment then they sometimes in front of building. And I remember so clearly when you come, you build the attachments, the government they come and broke them. But Mr. Mustafa in question, we say Usa Pampodi Komotsa start. To me, a recollection. That was the genesis or the beginning of pan body. Then, of course, we begin use other causes. Then begin lead to pan body, like the war, where people then relocate from up country and come. They don't know anybody. They don't get place for tap. They get temporary housing. By then, your resourcefulness. But you're not the pro on that. But I just go by my own personal recollection.
Okay, for answer, Mr. He say who say Pambody come on. Just Pambody come, it begin come, we get a host them. I can tell you one interesting thing. Now, if you're gonna salary post in the rentals, then get designation. It say our rents na Creole compound. Because the landlord they make sure say it's strict for cleaner everything. No and Pambody come, it begin come what to remember what we call adjoining. So when you get a main house, right, you build there small house then if you get big compound, but you don't put too much temporary structure them. So we go rent for let people then pay low rent. Now they start first. Then later on, our Pambody come, then big lodge will get money, when they get land for bills, they need somebody for watch the land. So the first way in the bill, now Pambody for the caretaker. So now the other way that Pambody come. So now make sure if you look then develop, then they will get now like the IMAT, then place where you get mixed development. The Pambodi they start for the one the way they look the host done, some remain permanently. So we get a now they the land use plan in Kansai housing. So we get structure like the IMAX them place and where you get a mixture of permanent structure. I can tell you from my own observation, that's the sequence of how Pambodi imagine our society. So you can continue, sir.
Okay. Well, as they say, we even if the flash then lost then day, then it gives us back another sad story in our country. So because one in mind they always telling us to get all the lost. Well, how comes everything just they go bien, now they go just build host them anywhere? Eh? On top the hill themselves, people in the bill. All side people in the bill. Hello?
Yes,
Yeah,
we'll get in
listen.
you loud and clear.
Okay, because I see like say it's not going to talk now, make a mixing. So
No,
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 no.
no.
we
I'm
get
listening.
now all then now we get who's them all part of the country, all part of Freetown. If you see if we can take an aerial view of Freetown, you see the who's there on top of the mountain, and then we talk about flooding, we talk about mudslides. It not just be natural. You see that kind of thing, and they say the hill. If you don't go cut all the trees them, you don't go below them they. So now where the rain they come from up the way they wash down, you know, get nothing for block the water, nothing they block the water. You just they come down, you sweep the host them, you know, destroy the houses them. You see, so when you with man left free, it left everything. We then give you administration, then give you everything as I always they say. When Mr. Kabo the talk say some waiting my guy, Nana the best one. Now this man then they give this fine house with the glitter, with the shine. Now this man then be give for broke house there, but you know be the same because the house will be new. As then they transfer ownership to now so we don't so we don't can do out this. So this is very sad. You see, I just want to make I give me small contribution. But the other thing I would just want to talk is we all of them think that we not emphasize on Moku land history there, who they go school. Then they go give European history. We have been from Tuesday, have they read have they read about European history, they say the barbarian tribe when they can invade some part of Europe. We left anything there for land them, they go learn about the barbarian tribe people in Europe. You see? Therefore those try to incorporate then knowledge there also that even Umar where they can contribute regularly from the time we give you the story for Kabbalah, any time where I talk to person about Kabbalah, I dey talk about the story we give you. Because that's what in the past history, that's what in the past lesson, from one generation to the other. But we don't care about all these things. They talk with the fishing the post come from space. Anyway, thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mustafa. Mr. Mengot, you get something? I can make a quick comment. Uh,
Yeah, yeah,
along
you
the
can go ahead. Check if we get other call at them before we continue. If not, then you can
okay,
go ahead.
along the line of what Mr. Mustafa talks to, this all NTN and get connection, where educational structure does become so highly modified. I mean, modified for the worse, that we are beginning to see the adverse effect of messing with something, like American man can say, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. We get this consistent habit of trying to change things that are not any problem. You know, we look for solutions before we get a problem. So now that happened. I mean, for again, I don't know how old Mr. Mustafa be, but I remember when I was in fact in the 60s. I don't know when it ended, but I remember in the 60s, if you were in Form 6, upper 6 in particular, I don't recall because in the early 60s, I think I go from 163. So, but I know the time with me there from 1. Okay, the time with me there from 1. People that will be there from 6, we are getting stipend. Then they get money, then they pay them. Okay, now you wonder how did that come to an end? In fact, I read some interesting stories then that there were some when so because some of them schools then they now white man be they run them. When and turn the administration to some of the black principal them, and I know some of the names where I not go call, then begin for encroach on the student they had the money. By sometimes you go get the principal who go say, well, you know, be in a class, the last two subjects, then therefore you know go get you stipend. So I know of one principal where you can take as much as 10 or more students in stipend. And this time, the students were getting all the way up to £7. Well, £7, which was because money beget value, for really appreciate how valuable money was then, you can feed a family of 4, where then go bell full. You can at least prepare dinner for them, a family of 4, with just 5 shillings or 50 cents, because everything you get pepper, you get penny pepper, you get penny yabas, you get atubitas. Yeah, I know we get a call. So then 10 and days. So student they will be to get £7. That was a significant amount of money. So if a principal take 10 students then £7, that was more than what the principal be to make. So it look again what we talk about Genesis. That was the beginning of the erosion. Everything the which man left give we begin to see how we will benefit out of that personally, not to collectively as a society. So this is not just one example. I wasn't one of those who became a beneficiary of that stipend there because I wasn't old enough then. Because by the time you get to the 1970 or maybe after me to come abroad, maybe it existed until then, but I know it used to be, you know? So you wonder how that stopped. But what Mr. Mustafa talk about again, one of the reasons why we are having difficulty is simple. I mean, the solution, the causes are clearly are known, and solutions are easy. We keep appointing, if you want to make somebody Minister of Education, don't just make anybody Minister of Education because he has a PhD in chemistry, physics, biology, English. That's not his qualification. PhD in a specialization. When you get PhD now in a particular, in a narrow field, so it's a specialization. So if you go take a man who get PhD in chemistry, you make a Minister of Education, how well is he going to do as opposed to someone who has a master's degree or a bachelor's degree in education or school administration? This is a field all by itself. The guy with the PhD in chemistry or the guy with a bachelor's degree in education or school administration, who is going to make a better minister? So until we begin to start appointing the right people in the right position and stop all them patronage thing then we will never see the light of day because we are so bent on appointing. Okay, look at Mr. Mengot here. Mr. Mengot is a qualified urban planner. I was going to ask him a question. How much do we put into use urban planners? Now we own system. How much do we really get in at the Ministry of Housing and Country Planning or the Ministry of Lands? How much do we get them? What would they try for develop an area? How much would it? How much do we use them? These are very, very important people, as Mr. Mengot himself just said. When in the April for level try for plan the use of locations and structures for avoid clogging or population for deal with population density, or crowding. So when we not deal with them people here, and urban planning is a specialization. Getting PhD in English not qualify you for do urban planning, not to your field. It's about time we begin for shut down at these people. Where they can and them do all them posturing here. All this to destroy the country.
Mr. Shyllon, I think you'll get a call on the line, but just before that call come, I just want add to what you say about this. Just quick one. What you say about this allowance? I can remember I was in sixth form in St. Edward's from 74 to 76, and me have been beneficiary of that from allowance. They give me 63 leon 60 cents for term. and then they go a great way. So let's get the caller coming. Let we hear what he said for add to this talk.
Hello, caller. What's your name? Where you call from?
Hello, viewers. This is now Umaru the call.
Hello, Mr. Umar. Welcome. Thanks for calling.
Before I go to the question first, based on this allowance owner they talk, I think it's one of the topic that we people raise. You know, because most of the way we see most of people know the patient for land work. Now the greediness of them boss system. You could work for somebody, you could work for every day, they collect money from customers. Forgive food where it be work. You know, so how you go courage for land work? So like the allowance issue na they talk, if they do like by a wood enough, for instance, when they do apprenticeship, I get $800 allowance every month. In fact, that allowance no alone don't they encourage me for that grab na money go na working place. You know, so I feel say that they not one thing I would lack now we on community where them for try improve on. I'll come to my question again. Hello?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, go ahead.
Hello?
I hear you.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have one question for we engineer they forgetting him.
Mr. Mengot.
Mr. Mengot, I want to ask you, how you the tell una be there, that una be the land una be the studying to become an engineer. How you time be there with today? Because nowadays, I don't know how they talk, but nowadays, because I don't know your own time. You see somebody, then they say, our old engineer, for instance, building or a mining engineer, they get an opportunity for visit the field only one times. No experience na the field. So how your own time be there? And now, what in your experience? What you be do? What in your field trip them? Because that we lack that now. You see all the major construction companies, then are foreigners, and they count their engineers, and almost they count everything, you know. So like we only now get now just for going to college and get the paper. The way you call them for practical, you don't pull everything, and most of them they report what they make now bogus reports. So how many you been there before and now? And
okay,
Mr. Mengot,
okay,
sorry, Mr. Shyllon make comment about the pan body. I think the pan body come out of greed. You know, if you find out within the central area, because of place scarce, people don't take advantage of that. Whether not Flaman, they be the current and now or not to Flaman, out of greed, because you don't see most of the Creoles the way they see. And then day before that old pan body business, the houses and they don't convert 80 to 90% of the houses to pan body. Any Creole company we go now, in the main house, the rest all are pan body. So if you say pan body come out of greed and pan body is not bad. The only thing at the construction, how you build your pan body, now the world day. Now then the problem. How you build up your world, you know, for prevent heat, then for prevent rattle not enter inside. All that thing then get for take into consideration. You know, just go make pan, ordinary pan, and you make stick no more. You say you don't build house, you enter and sell it on. You know, you get for build the wall. So I feel say pan body no, but now the type of pan body that would put on. But anyway, I really want to get question on that one, but Mr. Mengot, because at least say now one of the things that we would get wrong. Now you know, if we engineers then now we then now if they stand the test of time. Thank you very much.
Okay, let me answer you quickly. I would say I enter into engineering out of necessity. My primary profession is transportation, and transport involves a lot of engineering parts. So me start my profession in Sierra Leone, which was good, a practical experience. And I make sure I'll be able to rub more on some topic. I start as an air traffic controller. So I'm the sky before I kind of the ground. Okay, in England, when you study engineering, right? It depends. I work in local, and 2 local governments are trained for being an engineer. You get with you, they work at the local council, then they give you time off for go college, go learn. Then when they give you practical studies, now your workplace, you work where they do, now they apply with your training from the college. So there's a relationship between waiting and they teach you na college and the work we they do. So now, when you don't done that day now, for be a qualified engineer, and I think saying at the same in a salon as well, you don't get a degree, right? The next stage, you dey go for get what we call professional certification. In America, they call them PE, professional engineers. In England, we get different bodies like Institute of Civil Engineers, Institute of Electrical Engineers, Institute of Structural Engineers. So before you go call yourself engineer or a chartered engineer, you need 5 years working experience. And you get for list out all the projects that we don't do and the benefits of them project to society. Then you get for get endorsement. So engineering profession, you get book engineer, where you go for learn engineering, then you go PhD, go lecture, but then you get practical engineer. And we get in a salon because the Institute of Engineers, of which I'm a member, we get mentorship. We still mentor the young engineers. We get the Sierra Leone women engineers, and I doff me out to me fellow engineers in a salon for the work they do, given the challenges we they get, and the kind of remuneration they give engineer. Because one thing, all profession, that man with the billows, instead of you go to qualified architect, if they go to somebody when learn draftsman work by computer. You see, now that lack of recognizing professions and professionals, now they cause the problem. That makes so this second part of the canal, where they can specifically to this building, where collapse now shell, where they can't talk waiting at the engineers their own view, and these are professional engineers. I think, say, I hope to answer your question. If Mr. Shyllon get anything, but then I think it's the best slow video, let people then see, then we will get the reaction of the engineers then, the solutions then, we will tell people then. Because this show, not for just analyze problem, we for also prefer solution for we people and government. Over to controller, let put this here, let all man see.
As we mentioned, it's a one power headline stories. Today they look at one technical report where the Salon Institute of Engineers puts together for circa 1 building we collapse this BNT na Shell community, as they highlight the reason for this collapse. What are some of the reasons then we go know inside the program? But before that, we want to welcome Gerard King from the regional coordinator West, acting deputy director, Disaster Management Agency. Good morning and welcome to the program. Good morning, Salon.
Yeah, good morning, listeners, and I'm happy to be here this morning.
Okay, National Disaster Management Agency. Today we look at the technical report where the Salon Institute of Engineers puts together for SECA the collapse of 7-story building. Which at the end of the day, the National Disaster Management Agency being confirmed say 16 people die out of this incident. We now work together for put this report together. But before we look at the report, now we look at a rundown of the entire operation and how it conclude.
Yeah, thank you very much. And of course, as we all know, and this month and September 16th, we all been know waiting happen na Freetown now, and the way it happened, say this na a national issue. And the 16th at around 11 o'clock in the morning, we get an alert from we toll-free line, the 1199, where we get a report say a 7-story building don't collapse na Shell New Road. So immediately we get for activate the rapid response team, and we reach na the ground, and we realize say the situation where we been get at and they been very serious. There and then we immediately activate also the search and rescue operations because of the magnitude of the buildings and way for them. I mean 7-story building. And we be also get for coordinate with the partners them. As we all know, disaster management issue, and NDMA no go able handle everything by ourselves, and we know they work in isolation. We get for make sure say we reach out to we partners them, we get the equipment them we for use for make sure say we go ahead with the search and rescue operations. So we been get for do that search and rescue operations then day, and at the end of the day we end up for spend like 8 days. entire operations. We make sure say we bring the police, the military, the regiment, the engineering regiment from the military, the gentle group of company, the Mahampan Mines, the JP Logistics, the Red Cross, Sierra Leone Red Cross Society, the SLRSA, the SLRE, and the Freetown City Councils, and a host of other ministry departments and agencies were there. And all the efforts that we consolidate, all the effort there for make sure say we get a successful, even though there were a series of challenges, but we end up for complete the operations. And at the end of the day, we able to account for 24 persons, and among them 24, then they will be get 16 fatalities we be end up for happen. And we also get 8 people that will be end up for survive. Among the 8, then they already 5 then they will be now discharged from the Okupa hospital. We still get 3 days where they now the emergency hospital where they respond to treatment.
Now, you get from where this incident happened, the National Disaster Management Agency, don't they give updates on the lives then? Also, the people will survive. According to the end of the operations, 24 people involved, 8 survive, 16 die.
Yeah.
But when I not give we analysis of property we lost now this 7-story building, what's the damage in terms of property and money?
Well, the damage is huge. We still try to get an account of the business people. Of course, we be not register up to 8 people we na business owners then we affected another area. And of course, before the search and rescue operation completes, we been get a reason for make sure say we reach down to the depth of the building. Even though they tell we say the 2 last floor now being like a warehouse. So, but notwithstanding, we don't recover all the people who have been there. But we still get easy for go down to the depth and for make sure say we salvage some of the goods that we've been there for the business owners and let us say able to forget something out of the whole what's they call. At the end of the day, we'll be able to forget loads of items them, build them, how they call it here, and spare parts. We'll be get spare parts them way the people will be able for can. We'll be able for recover money way now being something like 56 million. We'll be end up for hand over the honorable Midede, the police them Midede, the military them Midede will hand over to the owner who been get the money, because society the money been inside one bag and the receipts them Midede will be at this person in name. So we will not be asked for able for trace who that get the money. So we able for make sure say the people who get the money they hand over to them.
Right. When disaster can happen, on our agency, at times can provide some basic things for people. Now, business people and they part of this particular 7-story wherein most of the business system and as you mentioned on our record. Anything they will wanna get to them people there.
So and we look at that and we get for go now into the we post disaster stage. We will get forget something like the recovery process and all those things. So we don't get an assessment of the affected people. We get 22 people and they win a household people that will be leave their families them. We will not really record, and we don't record, as I mentioned, we don't record 8 business owners them. So and we get for go day back. Just day before yesterday, I've been there even after we don't decommission the site. I've been get for go day for go address the people as to and how the operation end and waiting will get for be the next line. We don't promise them say we will get for go back and we engage with partners them, we engage with superiors them for see how best we will for reach out to them people in terms of support, because we all know at this stage they need support from both government and we other partners there. So we will get for go day back and see how best that will be done.
Okay, different organizations them don't pull in reports. For example, the engineers them don't pull in report from on a point. When I don't get anything, when I don't find out we cause the problem, we make that building the further.
For all we know, and yesterday we been get the interpillar coordination group meetings. That interpillar meeting, then a statutory meeting where they get once every month. We they bring all the players them way related to disaster management in the country, both private and government ministry departments and agency, and even development partners there. So we get the Institute of Engineers, the Mindede, the President Minde, and also we are say it don't share the report with the Director General, and we dey look at that report today. But summarily, we get for brief way that one of the reasons we make that building collapse now as a result of poor building materials and also inadequate poor construction work. We get for dilate further until we say the concrete mix was very, very poor, and also they use the iron rods the way they use, not to be the proper iron rods the way they use. So in a summary, these were the key things that we bring up yesterday in the meeting. We get
representative from the Institute of Engineers. They can dilate on that more. But on the properties recover so far now the building, we say una don't give some people how true is it that una discover lots of tramadol now the building?
That's not to we knowledge. Say then discover tramadol, because we've been there with the security, the police, the military, the right.
And it's an issue of climate change. It can be an issue of.
And we look at the technical reports we una put together for the collapsed 7-story building at the east of Freetown. But as engineers, we look at the issue of building collapse and fence collapse with plenty this rain season. What do you want to make up of that as people into construction?
Okay, thank you very much, for that beautiful question. This year, to be honest, we have rainfall we not ever get for the last over 50 years. We are experiencing that all over the country. And it's an issue of climate change. It can be an issue of things that where they happen up the rivers, maybe even from Guinea, they come down, to Shyllon where they affect we. We never see this kind of rain. But however, when we talk about engineering practice, engineers, we are responsible to make sure that when we design things, we design them for safety and they should stand. We know how to design structures to make sure they withstand a lot of these issues, because we get what we call, to put the factor of safety and all the rest of it inside. So then collapse they are mainly from waiting we see now substandard construction, substandard materials used in the construction work, particularly, to be specific, for this building we collapse. By the way, me, a member of the Shyllon Institute of Engineers, yes, I was a past president as well, but now I'm chairman of the Professional Engineering Regulatory Council, Regulating Council. So therefore, we are the council where they regulate the practice of engineering in Shyllon. So we regulate the members of the Institution of Engineers as well. So me have been late on. So when I come, I just meet this collapse. I come one day before this collapse. So I go there and with some engineers of the institution, and then we inspect and we put this report together. And one of the things we found out is really pathetic. This is a 7-story building. Okay? And when they design these buildings, they take load. When we design structures, they bring down the load of the building, down to the foundation, and so you design the structure. Okay? And when you then load the area you take for design the structure will depend on what thing they use the building for. So if they use the building for residential purposes, the kind of load they apply for the design of the structure. If they use them for storage, the kind load they apply for design the structure. You see some structure, then the motorcar safe then at the slab. That's no problem. We can design all of that, but you have to make sure you design for that. We found out that this building was originally a residential building. Okay, yes, okay, it gets shop bottom. But if you take 2 containers of liquid, it goes to a suspended slab, which it was not designed for, you ask for trouble.
So now the findings then they look into now.
Now they tell you so. Briefly. Okay. So that's an issue. Okay. Coupled up with what I just referred to about the substandard building materials. If you dey design, then slab then they and then column then where they take the slab and building, you they put iron rod. You get concrete mix. We call mix design. You they mix the concrete with sand, stone, and cement to a certain strength. Go to call concrete strength for withstand the load. You don't go believe we found out that some of them concrete mix they are so sansan. So sansan. No better aggregate. The stone wood is inside some of the concrete. Now ball stone, which we call, they are decomposed rock material. That's crazy, for suspended slab. All of these we found out. Then we found out the iron rod, some of the iron rod then where they use was substandard. They're not to the right size. The size of the columns they wrong for 7-story building. With our experience, I can pass a look at building and see the size of the columns and build. I will tell you, say this something is not right here. Okay, this is our profession. So all of this we found out. That collapse was therefore a combination of all of these things. So coming back to your question about all the other wall, fence, and this, they are all related to that substandard design and construction. This is why we want to come now as the Professional Engineers Regulatory Council to make sure we regulate all of this practice, to make sure that only competent people will be employed or given the opportunity to design and supervise and take necessary oversight for this construction.
We can look at the report proper, but more than 20 people and don't die for sake of building collapse and fence collapse just this year alone. Why now institute?
Okay, just to relate this one to which have been talked, the laws they will get. First of all, let me explain waiting at the Professional Engineers Regulation Council, because it came back from that question where the last caller be asked about how we train engineers. Now in Sierra Leone, when you're an engineer, you can become a member of the Sierra Leone Institute of Engineers, and if you don't get at least a higher diploma or a degree and certain years of practice, so you become a member. But then we also get a regulatory body, when at the Professional Engineering Regulatory Council, when I give that license there for practice. So we get several engineers. So now the president, now in the talk show. So number one, it relates back to which I've been talking about the law in 1960, the use of the building. Because this now mixed use. A mixed use building, because you get residential, you get shop, you get storage. That not allowed. It talk again, which I mean, talk about how they build the structure. When I make sure they look at the design, where on top you go load oil, other thing there. Then next, it talk about the type of material, the columns them and all that thing there. So if you remember, if me own view, I will stop here. I left Mr. Shyllon for camp. All the law they will be explained will become in 1960. If all that building during construction and after construction, that building will not be allowed to stand, and it not be for the hour. So I left down there. I left the lawyer now. Me lead host. Let himself. He don't listen to the message. Let ask me if I can break down some of them here will be company engineer say. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mengot. The engineer will listen to just now. Well, when we listen to the gentleman from the National Disaster Management Agency, then he said, then go there, most of him, not to the, I don't know try to criticize them, but most of what he said, they were too vague, because the gentleman asked specific questions with respect to what have they done for the people them who were afflicted by this disaster. The answer wasn't quite clear. But the engineer say, the gentleman will come out now, the National Disaster Management Agency, who listen to, in your narrative is a little different from the engineer. Because he say, the gentleman say, then go all the way to the basement or to the ground floor for see and then recover, trade and recover money. Did not say a word about liquid containers them or storage, which could have been one of the major causes of the collapse of the building, just in listening. Because if you take all the heavy stuff them, the liquid and the storing of liquids, containers of liquids up, will create extraordinary weight. And like you say, the slabs are not made to withstand certain weight, say the engineer. It will cause the flooring for collapse. And when the floor, if one floor collapses, it will create what you could call a ripple effect. It will affect the next floor and the next floor and the next floor all the way down. Okay? So it seems to me he didn't touch on that. And they make it look like it's the other way around. That there were people who were there shopping, there were people who were... But the reality is the storage happened to be at the top. The shopping was going on at the bottom. Wait for be the other way around. You know, because the things then will go add more weight to the house for them at the bottom, and then they up. And then a 7-story building. There are many other things I would have liked to know about that building there. They did have elevator. How you go do a 7-story building, you know, put lift, you know? Then forget the national moratorium. Any building where you go beyond 3 stories, private or residential or business should have a lift. Any building will go beyond 3 floors. Therefore require a lift because particularly buildings that are open to the public, if not for business, you know? So, I mean, these are some of my own comments in terms of, again, like I say, the National Disaster Management Agency sounds very impressive. We know all the good name them for put together for agencies in Sierra Leone. And the other question I would have liked to ask, what sort of equipment do they have when there's a disaster? What kind of trained personnel? Because the guy who get a degree is not going to be the one to do the work. So you need people with skilled employees. The people who go operate the caterpillars, the people who go operate the ambulances, the people who go operate other things. Then. So I don't know the composition of that of the National Disaster Management Agency. What do they have in readiness in the event of a disaster of that magnitude? We've had series of that before. What do they do and what changes do they make? And the people in way say they made 8 survivors. Were they just lucky? Or was it did these people survive as a result of the skill of the rescuers them? You see, so some of them say, because if we just go, we take them here, then we'll not say it will happen again. Then the gentleman also talk about, he say then get some meeting where then they do by statute, and then call it interpillar meetings by statute. I don't know if I don't recall if you say once a month. But first of all, why will a meeting, why will a statute be applicable to a meeting of an agency? I mean, I don't know, because it seems to me that it will be under administrative policy. Then, but I was listening for him to say, well, when this disaster happened, they didn't have an emergency meeting. He said, no, they get within the meeting we then call interpillar, where then they meet, disaster or not, I think once a month. But you don't mention anything of an emergency meeting, because it seems to me in this situation, statute or not, when a disaster like this happens, there should be an emergency. There should be a part of the policy for being an emergency meeting that should be called for deal with the situation as it was. So these are just some of my observations, just listening to the gentleman talking. I would also like to know, what are we going to do to prevent and attend to situations like this when they arise, because we're not saying they're going to arise again. So I'm not, maybe the recommendation by the engineers will make a big difference. So Mr. Mengot, I'm back to you, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. I don't want to dwell too much on the national disaster management issue, because I know how they work. But let's go specifically. I'm here specifically to talk about the engineering report and waiting my fellow engineer. By the way, the man we talk now, Dr. Badamasi Savage, who was my senior at the Prince of Wales School, and he was also the head of Faculty of Engineering at Forbay College. His background is a civil engineer, but of late me I don't work on traffic engineering. So now look at what he say. Lord, and I refer this back to that 1960 Act we have been talking about. Where some of the acts and they not expunge them. They talk about the role of the Professional Engineers Council in terms of solution, the way for go forward. Number one, from the description, and where myself look at that building there, if you look outside and build and a valley, right? So it means some of the floors then they below street level and some they above street level. So I think about 3 or 4 floors they below street level. So it come back to what you have been talk about. Where can that lower been quote say we been get? Now old building where then continue for add floors on top. And under normal circumstances, if we get a proper building control, that they not be for allow that for happen because you be for need planning permission. Number one, which was in the law. Also, the use of the building, mixed use should not be allowed. Then second, the third part of it, now a valley build the building according to the report in detail, which means is that valley they get water where they run underneath, it they call soil erosion. So it come back to the location, the design, then it talk about the standard of material. And when you talk about standard of material, we get what we call the Sierra Leone Bureau of Standards. So now they get for do certification for things like the iron rod. Then there was lack of inspection. So it don't make all the analysis and the cause. So now the root cause is so the way forward, the Professional Engineering Regulatory Council was before a registration council through an act of parliament in 1990. So in 2022, then take that act, they amend them, then they give this council powers. Waiting at the powers. One, you cannot practice any branch of engineering in Sierra Leone if you are not registered with the institute and get your license. So when they talk about branches of engineering, let's differentiate. In a building context now, right? You get civil engineers, right? That is a branch of engineering. A large building like that, they forget somebody when a structural engineer, right? Because then they could decide the columns, them and all that, where they work with the civil engineer. You also will get somebody when an electrical engineer. We will talk about electrification, wiring, and everything, right? So you get several different engineers. They're like me on side now. When a traffic and highway, when a one of the team them, you go get the highway engineer. We go look at how it encroach in the right of way, so they obstruct the streets and everything. So you can see the different professions. So we get this regulatory authority, which is an act of parliament. Not only then they license engineer, but also the powers where parliament give them. They're responsible for health and safety of the entire nation. So if they see, like when they see that building there, if they may go inspect them, right, then get the power for take the owner to court or the builder to court or for check who that do that building there and make sure say they're liable. Then get that power on the act. But the problem we get, there's a disconnect between the professional institutions and what I will call regulatory agencies, ministries and agencies. In this case, the ministry will get, now the ministry will get the new name, with a Ministry of Lands, Housing, and Country Planning. Because now they get the National Land Commission. Now they're responsible now for housing permits. And I listened to the director in another clip. It's on record, not to me make them up. The director for Survey and Lands, now the Ministry of Lands, we admit on the air, say, less than 30% of building in this country, on a Freetown, no get building permits. And guess the reason why he say that they happen? He say, number one, some of the side where they build them building, they access na problem, which means like how them people in the coast, na the hill and build in the valley, then they build without. So you go ask if people are able to go na the hill, they go build them there. Then get for move building materials and everything. So if they able to move building material, go build it. Mortal man no go able worker, go they go inspect them. How they take the materials and go there? So that is not your excuse. Then it talk about the expansion of population. Say, well, then the expansion, the Freetown expand, so they overwhelm, not get enough people there for dual inspection. That is why in the past, like what you talk under the 1960 Act, you get for work with other agencies then. You get for work with the city council. You get to work with other people and we will inspect the building. So until government make and say, when you they do that thing and they, you get to be done by certified professional. You understand? Just like how they say, in we country, we they build boku universities then, where they bring law then. None of our universities, they're not there where they offer a professional course in urban planning. Even when it comes to things like specializing in things like housing development and everything, now then practical thing and they will forget the Ministry of like when a Ministry of Lands, Housing and Country Planning, they forget urban planners where they work for them. They forget housing specialists where they work for them. Then for link up with the Shyllon Roads Authority, we get engineers. Then for link up with Freetown City Council. So now that disjointed way where they operate the system cause them problem. So we get for think together, think as a Shyllonian, support professionalism, support institution, and government get for make sure say enforcement of standards are there. So now that me get for say we don't almost done the program now. So if you get anything for say Mr. Shyllon, it's up to you. Then I think say it's about time we round up.
I agree with you. I think we've dealt with it sufficiently enough. Our urban planning, what I take from this discussion is that the country will be spinning its wheels. And the thing I want government to listen to, they need for stop this practice of just putting on committees bunch of people who know nothing about what the committee in purpose is for. Because this is what we're seeing. And we're so interested, we're opening university, we have university of this, university of that, that's Shyllon. Like you say, urban planning, which is so important for be able for live peacefully and in quiet and peaceful enjoyment of ourselves. We not get urban plan. The people that will get the responsibility, will get the expertise, we for really plan. How them place and then I make some safe areas them like Lunge and some part in the peninsula. Instead of just letting people keep building and building and building, the government need for put a moratorium and then get urban planners then work will try for put some ideas as to how these places should be planned. Because otherwise Lunge will look just as rough eventually another 30 years from now, like how Freetown is zigzag. Okay? So we not get parks. How can we be called ourselves a modern city? We not get parks and recreational facilities. In fact, as a matter of fact, the little existing community recreational facilities that will be there, or will exist. People, particularly business people, and I know for sure this happening, I don't care, where they can meet them, play ball and this and that. Some businessmen go pay the community leaders them and a community land then sell them to the Lebanese businessman, then stop the Bobo them from playing there. And then when the Bobo them protest, we police then go arrest the Bobo them. So then take that fund day away from them. We all over the group. We get little with the play what you call football, with the play soccer on the street. But Freetown has gotten so populated and congested traffic-wise, possible, practical, sensible for play soccer on the street. But we play good soccer on the street. But the Lily community, existing community, a recreational place where they exist, community leaders are selling them to business people. And when the youth then protest, the youth are being arrested. So everything is turned upside down. We need to come back to the senses if we're really serious. So not only the high level people for the criticized, but for the talk by even the community leaders them. The ward chairman them or the headman in a certain community. What you need to do for help for develop the community? Like for some of we where they abroad. Like Aberdeen, when I'm own actual native town, we still they put money together. We do a lot of community stuff, sustaining the cemeteries, them Muslim and Christian cemeteries. We get some wafs them in the area like coffee waf, where people and they use for each themselves. They'll come up with ideas for say, we need to build public toilet, and when you build public toilet, somebody get to take care of them. And the way that person they take care of them, we get for buy equipment and certain things. So we're trying to do all of that because people are not going at the wharf and ease themselves. So, and this, not to private people and thing, but we don't take our upon we say because we're not the community people. But imagine if we go out, instead of trying to let coffee wharf exist for everybody, let we just say the headman grab is Shyllon. Like how them people and do now, I don't care. But this is some of the things where they destroy we. So we are left with effect, but with leaderships, even in the lowest level, at the lowest level, is really nothing to be proud about. So with that said, we're out of time. Thank you very much, callers, and thank you very much, listeners. And we hope we'll meet again next week, unless Mr. Mengot gets something else to say. And good night.
Well, I just want to say to people, thank you for listening, and hope so you get a profitable week, a safe week, and I might probably take 1 or 2 weeks off for rest and recreation because I'm going to another African country go take small sun, but I will always be around to join in. So I will say tata to people them and thank the chance and my co-host for this opportunity we were able to share knowledge with you people them. Tata.